now it's time for my panel to react to the stories that have had us glued to our feeds all week. First up, the murder trial of Derek Chauvin. It's been a week of compelling and heart-wrenching testimony as the former police officer faces 3 separate murder and manslaughter charges for the death of George Floyd. On Friday, we heard from Minneapolis Police Lieutenant Richard Zimmerman, the department's longest-serving officer, who explained why everything Chauvin did that day was wrong.
Pulling him down to the ground, face down, and putting your knee on the neck for that amount of time is just uncalled for. I saw no reason why the officers felt they were in danger, if that's what they felt. And that's what they would have to feel to be able to use that kind of force.
Joining me now is my dear friend, Angela Rye, host of On One with Angela Rye, Paula Ramos, author of Finding Latinx, and Roland Martin, host of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I've got the hottest panel in television, so thank you guys. Angela, I want to turn to you first on this because you're an attorney watching this trial. It seems like an open and shut case. I have to tell you, one of my favorite moments was Donald Williams, the MMA fighter. I'm waiting for the control room to tell me if we have that sound, but he had an amazing sound bite this week when he was asked about something that he said to the police officers. I don't think we have it, but he basically, an attorney asked him, you said you would slap the you-know-what out of the police officers. And he looked at the attorney and said, yeah, then looked over to Derek Chauvin and said, I meant it. A moment for me in the trial. But Angela, tell me what your take on this trial was.
Well, Tiffany, I think first what is on trial isn't just Derek Chauvin. It is whether or not police officers will ever have to pay the cost for taking the lives of Black people. In the Minneapolis Police Department, for example, 20% of Minneapolis residents are Black, but 60% of the use of force incidents are involving Black folks. And so what really is on trial is whether or not Black lives truly matter and whether or not white police officers and perpetrators of these crimes will ever have to pay the cost for taking our lives. So we're watching that with that heaviness. The testimony against Derek Chauvin this week has certainly been compelling, whether we're talking about the longest serving police detective in the department saying that not only was it a violation of policy, but it was totally unnecessary. That 9 minutes and 29 seconds that we watched, and we were mistakenly for so long throughout the whole summer saying 8 minutes and 46 seconds, watching the testimony of his girlfriend, where all of a sudden George Floyd and his drug use is on trial. This isn't about whether or not he was high or not. It is not about a counterfeit $20 bill or not. It is about whether or not the use of force was in alignment with whatever the alleged action was that George Floyd took. So
yeah, exactly. Angela, I think you make a good point. And Roland, let me ask you, because look, a lot of people are saying on Twitter and social media, whiteness is on trial here. White supremacy is on trial. And I have to say, slow your roll, because that's a longer trial that would take years. And I would like to be a witness in that trial myself. You've been covering this on Roland Martin Unfiltered. What do you think this trial says to the country about the larger conversation around law enforcement, systemic white supremacy that exists within law enforcement, and its engagement with Black communities all over this country?
Well, what folks watching this will understand the lack of protocol and how folks broke various rules. It was powerful to have the prosecution in the first week to put on 2 cops to, in essence, contradict the actions of Derek Chauvin. When you look at many of these previous cases, you typically do not see that. You don't see a homicide officer, a member of the Blue, sitting on the stand, essentially saying to another one, you screwed up royally. And so that was critically important. And I think what people are seeing, and look, extremely emotional for a lot of Black people, it has been very hard to listen to this testimony, to those witnesses, the crying on the stand. But people have to see what we've always known. And to have this trial televised is important because they are listening to people walk through step by step and see the actions and see how the other officers stood around and no one intervened. To hear the EMTs say they did not choose to even do chest compressions. You see the callous nature and behavior of the police. And I would hope white Americans, Latino Americans, Asian Americans, individuals who have not had to be impacted the way black folks have, are watching this saying, hey, there is something here to what African Americans have been saying. Now let's have real changes when it comes to police in this country.
Yeah, I think you raise a good point, Roland. And I want to bring in Paula in here, because I do think when we have these conversations around police brutality, certainly the black communities are overly impacted, punctuated by it. And it's, I think, often gut-wrenching for us because, as Angela says, we built this country for free. But Paula, I do want to point out that there are areas like New York, for example, where the Latino community are certainly victims of police brutality, just like many folks in the black community. What was your take on this trial, Paula?
I mean, what I kept thinking about was Mr. McMillan's words, I feel helpless, because I think that moment captured exactly what every single black and brown person in this country was feeling, which is there was this sense of him surrendering to this idea that in this country and still within this white supremacist system, the death of George Floyd was inevitable, because from the very beginning, he was not treated as a human being. He was never seen as a human being. That's something that Latinos and immigrants can relate to every single day. From the very beginning, he was treated as a criminal. I think the other thing that really stood out for me was the way that his girlfriend, that Miss Ross, had to push back against those very stereotypes that they tried to use time and time again to criminalize him, to have us view him still as this angry black man, as a drug addict. And she simply painted the picture of an ordinary black man with a lot of pain. And once again, every single day, Latinos in the border, immigrants in the border are being criminalized. And in the image that I saw was a picture of someone that was not a criminal and someone that instead was a victim of a system that is criminal. And that, I think, is something that as Latinos and as immigrants, we try and talk about every single day.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.